What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. And for today's WWE news video, this is gonna be very interesting because what you guys are about to watch, what you guys are about to hear is going to blow your mind. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Bron Breakker accepting a challenge from a two-time world champion. Who could he be? He could literally be anybody. WWE planning a huge title match in the Fight Pit. A little homage to NXT. A WWE legend wants a match with Sasha Banks. Wonder what that's about. And this first one that I'm going to talk about is a top Raw star interested in going back to NXT. But who could he be? Well, he's actually none other than Apollo Crews. So obviously you guys know that AJ Styles made an appearance on NXT last month at New Year's Evil, where he went one-on-one with Grayson Waller, which was a impressive victory. And then this past Tuesday, Dolph Ziggler, spoilers of course, showed up and basically told Bron Breakker, hey, your title, I want it. Yeah, spoilers, it was Dolph Ziggler, if you guys didn't realize it. Now it's Apollo Crews. So Apollo Crews was on Post Wrestling. Big shout out, no copyrights of course. Y'all know how this works with the algorithm. Speaking to Vincent Beltran, big shout outs to him and Post Wrestling again, no copyrights. Y'all know how this works with the algorithm. He had talked about how he was interested in going back to NXT, and he was a part of NXT from May 2015 until April 2016. So he was only there for not even a year, almost a year, and compared from NXT back then to now, a lot of shit has changed. A lot of shit has changed, including two brand new championships, a championship that's retired, meaning obviously me being the NXT Cruiserweight title, which is unfortunate. New superstars coming in. We still got a few OGs. We got Pete Dunne, we got LA Knight, we got Tommaso Ciampa, Cameron Grimes. We still got some OGs. Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai. We still got some OGs. But when he was asked about wanting to go back, and how his initial run was cut short, he said, quote, NXT for me was a fantastic time as well. I feel it was cut short. I would have loved to stay there, maybe with a title, have a title reign a couple times, but I enjoyed it so much. Working with Triple H hands-on one-on-one was fantastic. He's such an amazing guy. He went on saying, quote, I would love to obviously go back to NXT. I would love to go there and work with some of the guys that they have down there. It'd be great. I'm always open for anything, you know what I mean? And it's so much talent down there that I could mix it up with and have a good time with. So obviously you guys know last year Apollo Crews turned heel over his rivalry with Big E over the Intercontinental title, and he ended up winning the title at WrestleMania last year with the help of Commander Aziz, which was pretty obvious. Him going back to NXT for a little bit, I could definitely see that happening. But it's interesting. But it's interesting because the last time he was in action, excuse me. It was actually last month on the 17th on Raw, where he was in an 8-man tag team match, and he was on the losing end of that match. And he has not been and he hasn't been in action since then. Including being absent from the Royal Rumble last week, which was very, very unfortunate. I will say this: if Apollo Crews does indeed decide to go back to NXT, I would love for it to be him and Aziz against Grayson Waller and Sangha. That would be an incredible match. Or we could see Commander Aziz versus Von Wagner, which would be an interesting match, to say the very least. I mean, with Robert Stone in his corner, I'm not so sure if Wagner will actually be champion, because he tried. Because you guys know, Robert Stone tried to get title opportunities, for superstars like Jessica Mea, Aaliyah, who is now on SmackDown, and even also Frankie Monet, or I guess now Taya Valkyrie. Both Kamea and Valkyrie both got fired from WWE. I think it was last year. Very unfortunate. It was so unfortunate because Taya Valkyrie, she was on NXT for the latter part of the spring and the summer of last year, and done. It's unfortunate, but it's possible we could see her back in WWE. But Apollo Crews going back to NXT, I would love to see that. I would love for him to go after possibly the NXT North American title, or because that Crews and Aziz are a team, I would love for it to be them two facing off against Imperium for the NXT Tag Team titles. That would be an incredible match. But only time will tell. We will see what happens in the future. But the next one up, since we're on the topic of NXT, Bron Breakker has accepted the challenge of Dolph Ziggler. Now, you guys know, this past Tuesday on NXT, there was a NXT Championship Summit, getting ready for Vengeance Day, which I did a prediction video for yesterday. If you guys have not checked it out, I recommend checking it out. Watch it. You're gonna love. It'll blow your mind of how interesting I think Vengeance Day will be. But over the last few weeks, talent from NXT have shown up to Raw, getting into a heated verbal exchange with Rude and Ziggler of the Dirty Dogs. And one person that showed up to Raw actually was LA Knight, and it's interesting because during that exchange, Dolph Ziggler belittled LA Knight, saying that he doesn't work Tuesdays, which is a reference to, obviously, to NXT being on Tuesdays. And by the time Ziggler was eliminated by Bad Bunny in the Men's Royal Rumble, Bron Breakker used that to taunt Dolph, saying that Dolph doesn't work Saturdays either, which was actually kind of funny. then Dolph in a backstage interview said that he might show up to NXT, and sure enough, he showed up this past Tuesday, and Bron Breakker took to Twitter and said, quote, Dolph mentioned coming to NXT and taking my title. You want the next shot after Santos? Come on down. Your move. Hashtag I will say it to your face. He actually posted that on Twitter this week. And you guys know Santos Escobar is challenging Bron Breakker for the NXT title next week at Vengeance Day, which is going to be an interesting one. Now whether the match comes to pass or not between Breakker and Ziggler, that remains to be seen, because you guys know in the last few months, we've seen stars from the main roster like Riddle, like AJ Styles coming on to NXT and competing on the show. Obviously, again, Riddle teaming up with MSK to take on Imperium, and then of course, as I mentioned before, Styles and Grayson Waller, which was an interesting match. So, with every championship that Dolph has held, six-time, seven-time Intercontinental Champion, multi-time United States Champion, multi-time Tag Team Champion, Money in the Bank. There is nothing that Dolph can't do. Two-time World Champion. The one title that has eluded his career the most is obviously the NXT title, and also too the WWE title as well, and also perhaps the Universal title as well. So he's got 3 other accolades left to go after before his career, before he can hang up the boots. Which right now he's in the prime of his career, so we might not see him retire anytime soon. Maybe in another 10 years or so, but who knows? But honestly, this matchup, Breakker, Ziggler, let's go. I'm game. I am so game for that. Now for this next one, which WWE legend wants a match with Sasha Banks? Who could she be? Well, if you guys did not watch the Women's Royal Rumble match, yeah, you guessed it. It is Melina, and it's interesting because aside as far as being an in-ring performer, we haven't seen Melina, I think, since 2010, if I remember correctly, 2010, 2011, like right around there. We had not seen her since then. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Yeah, I have no words to describe her impactful return, but apparently she wants a match with Sasha Banks, and she thanked Sasha on a post in a very touching Instagram post, saying that she would love to lock horns with Sasha in the ring someday. And of course, now from what we know, Sasha has yet to respond. But Melina said that she'd quote, forever keep the Rumble in her heart, and that'll be the case, whether we get this match or not. But obviously the former 5-time women's champion, 3 women's, 2 divas, will obviously never forget that. We'll never forget how the fans just popped massively for her entrance, the split-legged entrance, which obviously we all know. We know. she added saying, "Can you imagine if what we could do if we actually wrestled?" Obviously, Melina was only in the match for about a minute, literally. But honestly, but there's no word on what Sasha has planned for WrestleMania this year. So it's possible we could see Melina versus Sasha at WrestleMania, but only time will tell. But the thing is that Melina, as I mentioned before, she's a 3-time women's champion, a 2-time Divas champion, and it's interesting because Sasha is a 5-time Raw Women's Champion, a former SmackDown Women's Champion, a 2-time Women's Tag Team Champion, and a former NXT Women's Champion. So that's what, 5, 6, 8, 9 titles that Sasha has held in WWE. And the funny thing is that with the Raw Women's title, her and that title do not mix well. But her and the SmackDown Women's title, that's another story, because she held the title for quite a while. For quite some time, which was very interesting. Which was very, very interesting. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. A lot of people kept saying that heel Sasha in the main roster will always be better than babyface Sasha. I completely disagree with that. I think babyface Sasha is better than heel Sasha, especially in the main roster, because heel Sasha in NXT was extremely dominant. You guys know how dominant she was in NXT as a heel, but in the main roster, she didn't fare so well. She did not fare so well. But as a babyface, she blossomed into arguably one of the best in the business, hands down. And you guys know that. So this matchup, I would love to see it. Will it happen? Who knows? Who knows? But now the question becomes, what will be the fight pit? What type of match? What title match will be contested inside the fight pit? Well, if you guys have not figured it out, it is actually none other than Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Now, you guys know that if you guys remember at the Royal Rumble just a little over a week ago, with the help of Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley defeated Brock Lesnar to win his second WWE title, and he was on Bleacher Report. Big shout out, no copyrights, of course. He said on Bleacher Report that he would not be interested in another straight up one-on-one match. He would rather be and that he also mentioned that he would not be keen on a weapons-filled street fight, and that he remembered that he's got an MMA background part of Bellator. Lesnar has an MMA background in the form of the UFC, so why not bring back the fight pit from NXT and bring it to the main roster? Bobby said that he'd much rather see Brock suplex him than swing a stick at him. All they need to do is just put on some MMA gloves and get in the cage. Honestly, I'm all for it. I'm not even going to say anything else. I am all for it. Let's make this match happen. Let's make it happen at Fastlane. I think Fastlane will probably be the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. I'm not so sure. WWE hasn't made any announcements yet, but honestly, I'm all for it. Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar in the fight pit. I would love to see it, because the only 2 times that WWE had a fight pit match, the first time was Riddle versus Timothy Thatcher, and then the second one was Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher, and I believe Thatcher won both matches, but of course now Thatcher ended up getting released from WWE last year, which was unfortunate. Which was very unfortunate. He could have done more in NXT, but the only good run he had was when he was tag team champion with Riddle, when Riddle was still a part of NXT back in 2020. It's unfortunate, honestly, but who knows? Maybe we'll see Thatcher back in WWE at some point. But honestly, I would love to see this match come to pass. Again, as Bobby Lashley said, both him and Lesnar have MMA backgrounds. So the hell with kendo sticks, the hell with steel chairs. Bring down the cage, put on the MMA gloves, and just go all out. Plain and simple, right? I say let's do it. But honestly, again, will it happen? Only time will tell, because the Elimination Chamber is coming up next week, and you guys know that Lesnar will be competing in his first Elimination Chamber. From what we know, this is his first Elimination Chamber match, so we will see what happens. But that brings me to the question of the day. Do you guys want to see Sasha Banks versus Melina? And if so, where should it take place? Let me know down in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want to see more WWE news videos which get posted every Thursday, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me, want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.